friends, and welcome to my first YouTube video. I'm Priscilla Purl and I'm an avid knitter and vintage enthusiast from Vancouver Island, British Columbia, Canada. I like to knit from both vintage and modern patterns to complement my vintage inspired wardrobe. I'm hesitant to call this channel a knitting podcast just because I want a little bit more freedom to talk about singular topics a little bit more in detail, and also just talk a bit about vintage fashion. If you're interested in seeing more of what I like to do, you can follow me on either Instagram or Ravelry. I am at the Lavender Pearl on both. Since this is my first YouTube video, I'm going to start out by telling you a little bit about me. I already mentioned that I love knitting and I love vintage fashion. I also love cats and spooky things. Halloween is my favorite time of year, so I am so excited to be knitting spooky stuff right now. I originally learned how to knit when I was a child, but I didn't knit for very long, and I think I maybe only knit a square or something. I didn't retain any of that knowledge from when I was a kid. About 6 years ago, I was looking for a new hobby, something that I could do in the evenings that was kind of relaxing, and I stumbled upon knitting. Knitting sounded like the perfect thing for me just because you could do it while relaxing, and at the end you get something cute and warm that you can wear. I relearned to knit using YouTube, and it's become a real passion of mine. To begin with, I was knitting a lot of the patterns that were popular at the time, or I would go to my local yarn store and I would fall in love with some beautiful hand-dyed yarn, and then I would choose my patterns based on that. But I was finding that what I ended up knitting just wasn't fitting in super well with my wardrobe. So over the last year or so, I've really been working towards knitting things that I love to wear after I'm done knitting them. I think it was early 2019 that I created my knitting Instagram page. I've found so much inspiration and just such a wonderful community there and friendships. It's one of the things that inspired me to create this channel, just because I love talking about knitting, I love talking about vintage, and I just want to see more of those two things combined, and I figured that I should just create the content that I want to see. I didn't want this video to get too long, so I only brought 2 of my current WIPs with me today. So the first one that I'm going to share with you is the Boardwalk Blouse by Grrls. You can see this one here. This is my second time knitting this project. It's a really fun, easy knit, and I think it's good for both beginners and for experienced knitters as well. You don't need to know a lot of techniques, which makes it good for a beginner knitter, but at the same time it's still fun. I'm using Knit Picks Diadem in Sapphire. It's a 50% alpaca, 50% silk yarn. Unfortunately, I think it is discontinued now. I bought it a few years ago on sale and I just wasn't sure what I wanted to use it for. But it ended up being perfect for this top here. I'm knitting mine a little bit longer, so it's more of a fall top than a summer top. And I wonder if you can see. Probably not. It's got a little bit of a nice warm fuzzy halo to it that I love. The second WIP that I brought with me is a little bit bigger. It's the Love Witch Sweater by Disco Stitch. So I've decided to extend mine to make it into a dress because I want it to have kind of a mod goth feel to it. So as you can see, I'm just working on the lace at the bottom now, and I can't wait to finish this and block it and wear it. It's going to be so amazing once these bell sleeves get blocked out. So I'm using a Sandnes Garn Duo and a lace fingering weight yarn for this project. The Sandnes Garn Duo is a cotton and wool blend yarn. So as you can see, it's not quite as dark of a black as I was originally envisioning, and that's why I decided to hold the lace weight yarn with it as well. just because it is a little bit darker, and I'm really happy with how it's working out. I think you can kind of see the speckling effect that it's creating, and I think it's really cool. Both the yarns are really soft, and I think it's going to make a really beautiful finished object. One thing you'll probably notice is I'm really obsessed with Sandnes Garn yarn. I find that it knits up really well. The quality is super consistent. I've always been happy with all of the yarn that I've bought of their brand. I find that it is a really good price as well, and it's easy to find at the Canadian local yarn stores that I've been shopping at. It also has a really good wide range of colors that it comes in. Another project that I use Sandnes Garn yarn on is this sweater right here. So this here is my second beauty school sweater by Grrls. I love this pattern so much. I've knit it twice and I'm planning on knitting a third sometime soon. For this one here, I decided that I wanted to make it kind of a spooky Halloween version. So I added these cats and these bats. I was inspired by the Betty and Judy Lodge sweater, also by Grrls, but I'm really more of a Halloween person than a Christmas person. Also, I tend to run a little bit warm and I'm a bit of a sweaty Betty, so I like to knit in fingering weight instead of the heavier worsted weight. So I knit this sweater in Sandnes Garn Sisu. I'll put a link below to my Ravelry project page for this sweater, just because I did make a cat and bat chart there that I have on my project page. I know Ravelry isn't super accessible to everyone right now, so if you can't access Ravelry and you do want a copy of my chart that I used, just send me an Instagram message and I can send that to you. Or if you have any other questions about this project or anything else, you can message me. The best way to reach me is my Instagram. I thought I would take a second and give you a better look at my Halloween beauty school sweater. I knit this last October for the spooky season, and it was my first time doing stranded color work. I think it turned out pretty good. I didn't do as many decreases for the waist, and I lengthened it a little bit as well, just to make it a little bit bigger, cozier, and a better layering item for fall. When I first started knitting, I would see yarn that I like, then I would buy it and plan projects afterwards. I found that I had a large stash, but I didn't really know what to do with it. Over the last couple years, I've been trying to plan my projects first and then buy yarn for that. And I found that's helped both my wallet and just I'm more happy with the projects that I make. The next project that I'm going to be working on is the Baudelaire crop by Skeinanigans. I'm going to be using Sandnes Garn Sisu again for this project. So I'm going to do a black body with a white Peter Pan collar. I love looking like Wednesday Addams, so this is the perfect project for me, and I'm obsessed with Peter Pan collars. Between my Love Witch sweater and my next project, the Baudelaire crop, you might have guessed that I'm in a bit of a spooky kick right now. There's a couple more patterns that I wanted to mention that are a little bit spooky that I've been meaning to knit that I haven't got around to, just in case you're into spooky kind of vintagey knits as well. The first one is the Arachne sweater by Andi Satterlund of Untangling Knots. It is super cute and it's got a spiderweb yoke. It's knit in a sport weight yarn, and that's been the only thing that's been keeping me back from knitting this sweater, just because I haven't found a sport weight wool yarn that I'm obsessed with. If you have any suggestions for me, let me know. Even if you aren't into spooky knits, I would still check out Andi's patterns, just because she has lots of vintage inspired patterns, cute sweaters, cute cardigans. Most of her patterns would look great with either a circle skirt or high-waisted pants. She's got quite a few that are on my to knit list. And the second spooky pattern that I wanted to talk about is the Carved Pullover by Emily Haver. It's a DK weight pullover sweater, and it's got the cutest jack-o'-lantern lace eyelet pattern on the front. I've seen it in a few different colors and it looks really cute. If you know of any other cute, spooky, vintage-inspired knits that I haven't mentioned here, please let me know in the comments below so I can add them to my knitting queue. I am so happy that it's finally fall and I can start wearing my knit items all the time again. I've got big plans for lots of fun stuff that I want to knit to expand my vintage wardrobe, and I would love it if you'd come along on this journey with me. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking it so I know that there is an interest for this kind of content, and subscribing to my channel if you'd like to see more of my videos. If you watched this video to the end, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. This is my second time filming this video, and I think this time is a huge step up from last time. Practice definitely makes perfect, and I plan on getting some more practice. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.